Well, happy Sunday, everybody. Can you guys hear me okay? Can you guys give me some hearts, please, in the chat, both in YouTube land and the Facebook land as well? If you guys could give me some hearts, that's fabulous. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, welcome, everyone. Happy Sunday. My name is Lisa, for those of you that do not know, and I have a YouTube channel called Heart of Inspiration, and this is the first of many podcasts, the Sunday Soul Podcast. And the first series I want to do on this podcast was all about becoming a light worker. So we're going to do some interviews, a series of interviews over the next few weeks of various light workers from all different walks, from YouTube tarot readers to astrologers to Reiki masters to everything in between, because we want to talk to you about what our journey has been like in becoming a light worker. So the very first guest that has agreed to appear on episode 1 is my very, very good friend, Secret Tarot. Secret, do you want to say hello to the folks out there? I need to be able to hear you. I can't hear you. Hang on one second, lovey. Can you guys hear Secret? This isn't going to work very well if mamas can't hear. Hello, hello, hello. I might have to, bear with me, guys. No, we can't hear you. Okay. Oh, there she is. That's because I didn't even add her to the stream. Guys, this is the first one, okay? So just give me a moment, okay? All right,
there we go.
A moment. I promise you it'll be a lot better next time. Well, hello there, my friend. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm fabulous. I am fabulous. So I'm sure Secret has her tea. I have.
I do.
I'm gonna hold it up to the camera. My future daughter-in-law brought me a baby Yoda coffee mug, and I now can't get away from Baby Yoda. So those of you that are not watching The Mandalorian, this is not a paid promo, by the way. Anyway, Baby Yoda is in the house. So I think it's pretty appropriate for Baby Yoda to be with us, because I'm sure there's a lot of Baby Yodas out here, you know, us all being kind of on this journey to being a light worker. And some of us are just starting on our way. So I'm so grateful and so thankful for you being here. I cannot thank you enough.
Oh, you're so welcome. It is my pleasure to be here and to be interviewed. This is my first interview as well.
This is an exclusive, you guys, an exclusive. Well, awesome. The honor is all mine. So I want the folks to know a little bit about you, Secret. So why don't you just kind of give us a little bit of Secret's journey? Well, first of all, tell the folks that may not know, because we are on Facebook as well, tell the folks that may not know a little bit about your channel, and then let's start talking about how you became Secret Tarot. So a little bit about your channel.
Okay. Well, as a lot of you know, I have quite a big following here on YouTube, and I am on Facebook, I am on Instagram and Twitter. And it just keeps growing, and I couldn't be more grateful and happy. And even with some of the stresses that come with it, it is one of the best experiences that I've ever had in my life. And I couldn't have dreamt this for me in any way, shape, or form. So it's a nice surprise. But my channel is mostly about love and healing, a little healing. I'm kind of blunt most of the time. I'm me. I'm me with my subscribers. I'm me with you, Lisa. I'm me with, I'm just me. And I think people appreciate that,
Yeah, definitely. That's very true. What you hear is what you get from Secret. Her energy is extremely authentic, and that was one of the reasons why I wanted to have you here with me, because you're not putting on a show. You're not. There's not a persona. What you see is what you get, or what you hear is what you get, and I think that comes very much from having some very real and very authentic experiences in your life.
Yeah.
So, give us a little background, like, who is Secret Tarot? Like, what was it? What were you like growing up? Did you grow up in the midst of? Was there a lot of like, religious teaching, or was there a specific type of religion that was taught? And kind of what was your childhood like?
I grew up very poor. I grew up in one of the poorest places in the country, and we were very poor. My dad was a coal miner, and he would get laid off a lot. My mom tried to work as like a nanny, and we had a little red house down a holler. And I was, and I think that house was given to us. But we did go to church. If I remember correctly, we were Lutheran. And going to church was down here in the Bible Belt, very hellfire, brimstone, not a whole lot of love and light. I mean, they taught about Jesus and God and the creation, but they also scared you to death. If you told a little white lie, you were going straight to hell. If you did this, if you said a curse word, you were going straight to hell. And for a little kid, that was kind of scary, because I didn't want to go to hell. So a lot of it didn't set right with my soul even then. And, my parents divorced when I was 10, and my mom remarried, and we moved to Ohio, where up in Sandusky, where it was a lot more cultured, civilized. It's a lakefront community, Lake Erie. But yeah, when I was little, though, I think the energy that I have is a combination of my mom's side and my dad's side. My granny on my dad's side is all Irish people, Scotch Irish, and she would do things with hair, and very superstitious. If you had some sort of an ailment, she would cut your hair and do something with it, bury it, stick it in a wall, do something with it. And then she always had her crystals, and she would charge them under the moon, and everybody would say she was a witch and all this and that and the other thing, right? And then on my mom's side of the family, it's more of the seers, right? My granny could see demons, and that's the first thing that I ever saw was a demon. But she could see them like, I can't see them like she could. It's very few and far between. But she could see them. And so it's like a combination of both families, and it's just kind of, I guess I just really didn't have much of a choice in being different, I suppose.
Right. So that's interesting. So it's interesting to me, because that I do Akashic and Galactic record reading. So I always find it quite intriguing that a lot of us, we get these gifts handed to us through the female bloodline in our families. It doesn't matter to me if you're male or female. I mean, I suppose there's some men that we'll have to talk to a man and find out soon. But I always find it coming through a feminine bloodline or somewhere in the bloodline. So on the one hand, you had on your paternal side, you had Granny that, I suppose, depending upon what part of the country she would have been from, would have been kind of like almost into like the voodoo, but the kind of the Celtic spirituality in a sense, right? So she knew take care, do this, or she knew to create a poultice, or she knew to, use the herbs and things like that. Then your maternal grandmother was a seer. How did that, were you really intrigued by your grandmothers? Like, were you close to both of your grandmothers?
I was very close, yeah, very close to both of my grandmothers, especially on my mom's side. We'd spend a lot of time with her, and she would tell us stories and tell us about the things that she saw and that kind of thing. Very, very strict Christian woman. But yeah, when we moved to Ohio, it was just a couple years, and she passed away, which was really hard for me, And, but, because we weren't there.
Right. Did you feel, and you might have never thought about this, did you feel sense when she transitioned?
No, I didn't. Mm-mm.
Okay. Interesting. Has she ever visited you afterwards? Has she come to visit you?
Yes. Yeah. I felt her around, and my mom has seen her. Well, she did see her when my mom was alive, and now these days I feel more my mom. My mom comes through a lot stronger than my granny.
Yeah, we'll get into that. We'll get more into that. Awesome. So this is the childhood. So you have a Lutheran foundation, but it's Lutheran, kind of Southern Lutheran, which anybody that knows anything about Christianity in the South, I don't care what denomination you go to, it's all hellfire and brimstone. Like, literally, you blink wrong, you're going to hell. Like, that's just the way it is. You sigh at your mama, you're going to hell. I mean, that's the way it is. And it's very fear based, right? Like, as a child, you, even as a teenager, very, that kind of carries through. Very, very fear based, which is very much the antithesis of everything that you're about right now. So we're going to get to all that. That's very interesting to me. So here we are. So what about Secret as a teenager? I'm kind of interested in, when did you, and this might not come till much later, but did you have any inkling that you were a little different, or that you had some giftings and some sight and things as either a child or a teenager?
When I was little, I would talk to people that weren't there all the time. And my mom, actually, she recently came through in a reading that I had, and I said nothing about any of this to this woman, and she said, you used to be in touch with the angelic realm. You used to talk to the angelic realm, and then you shut it down. So I figured that was basically, when I went into my teenage years and we moved. It was stressful. It was a very different world from the South, down a holler, living, extremely poorly. And, my mom remarried. The guy had a little bit of money, and we were doing okay monetarily speaking, but uprooting was really hard for me, and I had a very thick Southern accent, and I got made fun of all the time. So this brought out my rebellious side, and
no way, you were not rebellious.
I really found my voice. Let me tell you. Sweet Southern little girl to some sort of lunatic. I blame it on the Northern people. And so I got in fights. Teenage years, I was in trouble all the time. Did a lot of things that I shouldn't have done, but it was all, a growing experience. And during that period of time, I had a friend, and she had this boyfriend who dabbled in the darker stuff, right? And I thought that was really cool. And I was about 16, 17. And I was all, whatever. My Aries moon, I'm down for whatever, whenever. And he, and where'd you go, Lisa? Are you there? Oh, there she is. Okay.
Here we have a
All right.
visit. I was just sitting her down on the stool next to
Oh,
us.
okay.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay. I was like, where'd you go? So he had this book that he was making. I guess it was his own form of spells, and he was an artist and things like that. And I thought this was the coolest thing that I'd ever seen in my life, right? And he pulled out some tarot cards one day, and I was just hooked. And he told me, he said, in order for them to work, you got to steal some of your own, right? And I'm like, okay. But I just went to the bookstore and bought some, and they worked just fine. So I started giving my, girlfriends readings and figuring out what our boyfriends were doing and things of that nature. And it just kind of stuck, it just kind of stuck with me. There was a point in time where I had been through a lot of tower moments and things like that. And there was a point in time when I met my husband that I put all of that away. And, I was just kind of all about him. But then after all these tower moments happened, I really got back into the spiritual side of things. And yeah.
We'll talk about if you're comfortable, let's talk about that a little bit. So 17, a very formative age, you got introduced to the tarot. Very interesting. You investigated it for a little bit, put it down for a little bit. And then that moment.
Hold on, let me turn you up because I'm having trouble hearing you.
Oh, I can turn myself. I'm sorry if I'm a little. Okay.
There you go.
So you mentioned tower moments, because this is probably now the meat and potatoes. As we're becoming light workers, I go back to childhood because there we find the roots. We find the roots of who we're going to be, or the main, if you will, gifts that we're going to operate in. And there's usually some kind of clue as to what speciality you're going to be in. So right away, right, we see grandma as a healer, although she's doing things which, eventually, dear, you're going to need to get into that. You do know, like the herbs and everything, if you're not already into it. That's going to be something, we've done the crystal, the crystal collaborations along with consciousness evolution journey. But I can see that being another aspect of who you are. And then being a seer, so your intuitive side was already kind of placed in there, and your ability to see into the spirit world was already placed within you from birth. So what are these tower, because we all have these tower moments, and I think this is really getting into the nitty gritty of when we get tried and tested and as we come out on the other side. So what happened? What were these tower moments? How, and if you want to share some of them or any part that you're comfortable with.
Okay, well, when I was 18, I met who was going to be my first husband. And I was with him for 10 years. And like I said, I put all of that away, and I was very much into him. Gorgeous man, right? Muscles, tattoos, Aquarius, wild child, just like me. And we had so much fun together. Problem was, he was not the most faithful of people. But we managed, right? And we lived everywhere, and we were best friends, and we just were, it just was very natural. And we understood each other a lot. But he was wild, a lot wilder than I was, God knows. But, we just understood each other. And we got married. And we were just doing our thing, and he was becoming more settled down. And I was more settled down, and we just kind of, I don't know, grew up together in a sense. But he was still not the most faithful of people. So I figured, okay, well, we'll get married, and maybe he'll be okay. Maybe he will see that as a sacred thing. But I was so very wrong. And we had our son, and I thought, and it wasn't planned, it just kind of happened. And I thought, well, he wouldn't he may betray me, but he wouldn't betray our little family.
Right.
I was wrong again. And I feel like that was my breaking point with the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't just me, it was my son now, right?
Yes.
And so this all came to light when my son was 6 months old, and it just hit me like this is never going to change. I had $30 in my checking account and a 6-month-old baby, and I threw him out. I didn't care. I was just done. It was just over for me. And so that was the first tower moment, and that brought on such significant change. It was not even funny, and I was looking for direction. And I had been going here and there to this lady in town, and she had a place called the Tea Rose Tea Room. And all the ladies in town in Sandusky would go and have their tea and their little cakes and get their tea leaves read. This lady and her daughter were extremely gifted psychic people. And this lady, she was older, and she knew how to do it all. She knew how to do the palm reading. She knew how to do your chart. She knew how to, everything that you could possibly do. It was all like $50. There you go. Wow. And it was amazing. And so I started, I had known her. I've been to her before, but when myself and my husband split up, I kind of used her as a therapist. Yes. When I truly needed some actual therapy, but she was there for me, right? Yes. And she talked to me through a lot of things, and I probably go see her at least, sometimes it was every other week, sometimes it was once a month, just whenever I needed it. And I always remember that always had a profound effect on me. This woman helped me, through a really hard time.
Right. Did you attach that to the spirituality? Like, did that kind of awaken something then again within you, at least a little bit? Because I find that that's what happens with a lot of us. We go through a very traumatic experience. It starts to send us on a healing journey. Yeah. And then we end up seeking, right? And we seek some of these things out. So looking back on it, do you look at that's when this kind of got reawakened within you?
Yes. And I got, I started playing with my cards again and things like that, and started getting in deeper into different kinds of things. And things started to kind of settle down. I, went into survival mode, surviving for me, surviving for, my son. And that's what I was focused on. I put myself through college. And when I was doing that, when I was still in college and my son had just started preschool, we got word that my ex-husband had gotten into a motorcycle accident. And a drunk driver had pulled in front of his motorcycle. And so this was a few years after we had, split and divorced and the whole thing. Probably 4 years, maybe. And he was badly broken. He had a lot of broken bones. We didn't think he was going to live, and he ended up with permanent brain damage because of that. So I had to relearn my relationship with him. I had to mourn the loss of him yet again, and then adapt to this new person. And it was just yet like another tower moment. And my son, You know, he's not going to remember the big, strong, tough, you know, he was in like UFC and, or, you know, did that cage fighting stuff. And he was a tough guy, a man's man, no soy latte about this one. And he just changed that whole thing. It completely changed him, and he doesn't, you know, he's fine, he can get up, he can function, but he's permanently brain damaged. It's still him, yet it's not him. And it took a lot for me to get used to that. And I had to not only be, you know, the feminine energy at that time, now I had to take on the whole masculine role. And, you know, so it was a lot. It was a lot. And so we had to deal with that. And then once we settled into getting used to all of those changes, then 2013, December, right before Christmas, I'm working at a job. My son is in school. My ex-husband settled. He's doing his thing. And I get a call from at work from the police. My mom and my stepfather had been in an accident, had been in a car accident. And they were getting older. They were getting older. They were on their way to the mall to get my mom a ring for Christmas. They were going to go pick it out. And if you knew my stepdad, he's so cheap. That was like a huge ordeal. That was a big deal, you know. They were going to go get her a ring. And so he pulled out in front of traffic, and it just, am I echoing?
Is there? I don't think so. No, you're fine.
Okay. So my mom was life flighted. She got messed up pretty bad. My mom was life flighted to Toledo, which is an hour away from Sandusky. And then my stepdad got sent to the local hospital. And so I'm having to like, and it's just us up there. All of our family's down south, all of us. So it's just me, my son, my stepdad, and my mom at this point, right? And so I'm having to figure all of this out, and I didn't know which way to go. I had to leave my stepdad at the local hospital, and I had my son who was, still little, and we went all the way up to Toledo to check on my mom and wait for her. She had to have emergency surgery and all of this and that. And things kind of got settled down with that. She was recovering. My stepdad wasn't in the best of health. I was trying to, be with her at the hospital as much as I could, deal with my son being in school, deal with my stepdad who was, sick and couldn't be, go like to the hospital every 5 minutes. And it was so much. I really thought I was going to lose my mind at that point. And we got her to a rehabilitation hospital in Sandusky because they had her in Toledo for a very long time. And so she was close to home, and she was doing fairly well. And they had gotten her off the vent, so she was able to call whenever she wanted. And I had went and seen her one day, and she was in good spirits. She was talking with the nurse, and things were on the up and up, right? And this was in March. So we'd been doing this hospital thing, and I was quit my job. I was going to be her full-time caregiver to both of them, but mainly her. And we were going to, figure it out. And we were getting ready for her to come home. And so I went and saw her, and we spent some time together. And my stepdad couldn't make it, so I had to go home, deal with him. I had to go get my son from school, and I kept calling her on the phone and things like that, and went to sleep. And going to get ready for the next day. And I got this call about 5 o'clock in the morning that said, coming down to the hospital. And I knew what that meant. I worked at, I've been around healthcare for a very long time. I knew what that meant. And on the way there, because they wouldn't tell me what was going on, all the way there, I'm just like, you better not be dead. You cannot be dead. You better not be dead. And I got there, and they had taken her to the emergency part of that facility. And I walk in, and I just started saying, I saw, where's my mom, right? Where's my mom? Where's my mom? And she's like, I can't tell you, you got to have a seat in the family conference. I was like, I ain't having a seat. I started flipping. Ain't having a seat nowhere. Where's my mother? Where's my mother, right? And so this other nurse came and said, she's passed away. I said, well, take me to her. Take me to her, right? And she had passed away. I think it was like a clot, and it just kind of happened. And after all of those months of trying to recover, and then we finally got her close to home, and just all of a sudden, right, that was it. And so we had to experience yet another tower moment. So it was just like back to back to back to back. So all of our family was down here. And they wanted us to come home back down south. And so I came back down here, and I was reluctant about it because I didn't really want to, but I felt like, if something happened, who would be there? I mean, I knew it was just me trying to manage my son, my mom, my stepdad. It was insane. So I thought, okay, so we'll come back down here. And I was forced. It was like I was forced to slow down because everything's such a slower pace here. I was forced to look at everything that had happened those past few years. And I was forced to process all of that. And it was very dark time. And I'm still finally coming out of it.
Yeah, I wanted to, I don't mean to take you there, but so many of us, it's interesting to hear you say these things because I'm thinking cheese and rice about that time in my life was when, my father passed or my parents divorced, or there was like crazy, like boom moments where you have to make the decision, am I going to live or am I just going to go under? And you feel emotionally like that. I think that there's a moment in time where there's these times where we become emotionally and energetically numb. We just kind of walk through life kind of like emotional zombies because we can't actually function and process all this. I wanted to kind of go back just a little bit because I want to ask you, as all these things are beginning to happen, did that, like with your ex-husband, did that like end up kind of changing your place of maybe having some sort of compassion for him, like maybe seeing him in a different light? And then your mother passing, then you had to have this level of compassion for others, and yet having compassion for yourself. Like, and maybe it still is there this space where you don't forgive yourself for what you perceive you could have done differently, like to save, to change things?
Yeah. With him, with my ex-husband, I always thought, if I had, stuck it out, if I had stayed with him, that would never have happened. But sometimes you got to just accept what is written is written. And I feel like, he was very ego driven. And sometimes I feel like, maybe this was God's source's way of humbling him a little bit. Sometimes I do feel that way. Other times, I think that if none of that had ever happened, would he and I have eventually found our way back together? The things that he did made me pretty cold inside, you
Wow.
know. So
Wow.
it's the compassion that I have for him now. We're good friends now,
Yeah.
and a very strong protective feel that I have for him. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. And ability to find a place of forgiveness, not even it's not even about him at this point, right? It's really all about your own walk and your own life is being
Yeah.
able to then move from, I saw in the chat someone said we go, from basically dying to surviving to thriving,
Yeah.
and then, okay, so mom passes, and this is a highly traumatic situation and a
Yes.
life changing situation when the matriarch of the family transitions. It's unbelievably like
I I lost my best friend. I
yes.
lost my best friend, and I didn't know how to even function. I felt like I was completely numb. And about a week out after, her services and things of that nature, she came to me in a dream. And I suppose it was a dream, right? Now looking back, it's maybe not a dream. She just came to me, right? And I just happened to be sleeping. But she showed me where she was. And we she put me we were in a car. It started off at her house in her living room, and we ended up in a car, and she was driving, and she said, "This is where I am." And you could see, and it was just fields, beautiful fields, and the greenest green you could ever see, and all of these beautiful flowers, and everything was just moving, like it was swaying to, like, not to like wind, but to like music, and you could feel like all the love and like this unconditional love all around. And I didn't want to leave. And she said, "No, it's not your time yet." So because I wanted to get out of the car, right? She's like, "You can't get out of the car. It's not your time." And
Wow.
so I was instantly at peace with
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that. And I think she needed to show me that so I wouldn't be in so much pain of losing her.
Yes.
And I was at peace with that. But it was still such a transition. It was a lot of changes. A lot
Yes.
of changes. Yeah.
Yes. So okay, so now we're at a point you've had to move back down south to the family. You don't want to go back to the Bible Belt. You don't want to go back to the holler. You don't want to go back to this very confined, constricted, not rather enlightened place. And I think we're going to take just a 1 minute break here.
Okay.
I'm gonna let you get a little bit of tea.
Okay.
So just you hang on 1 second. We're gonna put you backstage again.
Okay.
Hopefully, you can go backstage. Maybe I don't need to do that. Okay. We're just gonna do this. Actually, I'm just gonna mute your mic there, and I've got a 1 minute, really quick video I'd like for you guys to watch. Really quick about my upcoming retreat, and we'll be back in just one moment. We are back. We are back. We are back. Thank you guys so much. So, Secret, we've got you unmuted now. So let's move. We're going to move a little forward here. In the last 15 to 20 minutes, I think this has been tremendous because a lot of people go through these very similar yet different, right? We go through all these sets of tower moments that lead up to us finding our way back to source and finding our way back to our purpose, to our future. So you go back to where from whence you came. You go back to your roots, and then what then? How did Secret Tarot even start? Like in a holler in Bible country?
Well, actually, I was working. I got a job down here at the hospital, and the hospital itself was going through a lot of transitioning, right? And they got a new VP or a new head guy, and he was making a bunch of changes, and everybody was getting axed and laid off and this and that, and I was on the chopping block, right? But before that happened, I had started the channel, right? So like I said, I had to slow down, and I had to process everything that had happened. And being here, you are forced to slow down. You don't have any other choice because there's nothing to do, and you could die of boredom. So you had to process. You had to be alone with your thoughts, and you just had to process it. And it was good to be around family and things of that nature. And, like I said, I got a job and all this and that. But I was looking for that spiritual connection that I had when I lived in Sandusky with that lady. I was looking for that. And couldn't really find it around here. And then I started looking on the internet. And that's when I saw YouTube Tarot, and I'm like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. This is amazing. And I was watching Sal, and I was watching Consciousness Evolution Journey, and I was watching Tyler, and all the OGs. I was watching them. And I started my channel, and thank God I did, because it became my full-time situation, and it was just heaven sent. It was the right timing. It was just everything, and it just grew, and it just blew up. And like I said, I couldn't be more grateful. How did
you settle in on love? Tell us a little bit about that. So yeah, how did you settle in on love? We'll put that way. We'll put that there.
I cannot help but want to know about everybody's love life. I can't help it.
Oh, so it's a little nosiness. Is that what you're saying?
It's nosiness. And that's how I started off, giving my girlfriends love reads, and it just stuck. And it just recently, anytime I ever went and had a reading, and I love getting readings, anytime I ever had a reading, it was all about my love life. And just the past few years, it became more spiritual, or how can I protect myself, or what's going on with my career. So I hardly ever ask about love anymore. Hardly ever.
That's interesting. So why do you think you hardly ask about love?
I don't know. That's another issue that I'm struggling with right now. I think it's time for me to be more open to love, to really give somebody a chance. Because I'm the runner. I run. I do. And I was telling this story on my channel the other day, and I kept pulling this womb card, right? This womb card, and I couldn't figure it out. And I just had surgery, right? They took away my womb. But it finally clicked. It took me a minute, but it finally clicked. Like I need, and another reading that I had with a very in tune psychic lady was talking about my divine feminine. And then it clicked with that womb card. I really need to concentrate on my divine feminine, because I had to take on such a masculine role of survival for so long that I forgot about my feminine. And I think that's what that was really all about.
I'm very glad that you said that, because people look at those of us that either are on YouTube, or we're Facebook, or we're IG, or we're whatever we are. And that doesn't matter if we're tarot readers or astrologers or mediums or just generally teachers, or all of the above. Because I think that all of us have bring forward various aspects of spirituality and of being a light worker, and what light work is as we progress. But they look at us, and we might say all the time, guys, it's really not as easy as it's cracked up to be. You have some people that will portray a very much I have it all together, and I'm totally like, I'm fine, I'm perfect,
Yeah.
arrived. And one of the main reasons why I wanted to do this podcast is to let people know, you know what, we haven't arrived. It is a continuous and continual growth process. We just maybe dug up some roots, some really deep roots, and done some serious shadow work and integrating all of that. To the point that we can then present ourselves and help guide people through the rest of their walk and the rest of their process. I say walk, I can't help it, guys. I was a minister behind a pulpit for 20 years. I cannot stop with the walk thing. But on their journey. So when have you ever thought that perhaps, at least I find this, sometimes when we get to this place where we've got like a burgeoning practice ministry, when we're really walking in our purpose and it's on like 8 cylinders, that it feels like we just don't have time for a relationship. Like, how are we going to devote that part of ourselves to someone else? How do you feel about that?
That's a very true thing. I've been so very laser focused on my career, my work, my purpose, that has definitely been put on the back burner. That's for sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then because of that, though, how do you feel that helps you in the readings that you do for the collective?
I think all the pain that I have been through in my life experiences, I can help people in that way, and in turn it helps me tap back into my emotional side and heal that part of myself. It's like a circle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree with you. You get blessed as you bless. You get filled and refilled as you fill others, as long as you're open to doing it and you're doing it for the right reasons. And I kind of want to get into that too, because you don't build a channel of almost 500,000 people, right, subscribers, without having the dedication to becoming very good at your craft and very skilled at what you're doing. And you don't also do that without having some level, I mean, I guess you could, but it won't be long lasting without having that integrity of you really wanting to serve mankind. Can you talk a little bit about your desire to serve humanity and how that's fed into you becoming, Secret Tarot?
Well, I knew my purpose is here to help people, and even after you've done my chart and how many planets I got in the 6th house,
Girl, too many. Okay. So this is nice hot
I
and
just
stuff.
don't.
You
I
said.
just don't feel like I have any other choice in the matter. I've always been a very giving, caring nature until I'm crossed, and then it's a whole different animal. But I am very giving of my time, myself, my energy, and I have zero problem with that at all. And what inspired me really the most is when I was going through my own relationship ending, my marriage ending, and that lady that helped me. Her predictions, 95%, but just the fact that I could sit and listen and talk to her and hear her voice and say, oh, this and oh, that, and have you ever thought of this? Just that is what helped get me through. And I hope that I can be that for some people out there, because when you go through devastating endings, you need something to say. You need to hear somebody say, you know what, this is a moment in time. This is going to transition. This is going to be okay. And I feel like hopefully I am that person for a lot of people out there.
That is beautiful. That is beautiful. And that's really, to me, the essence of a light worker. The essence of a light worker is one that brings a light. It's really being a light being. It's really allowing the light that you've been given to shine and being a channel for supreme light, for supreme source, and just being willing to give it and being willing to share it. I think there's just a couple more things I want to ask you. So, how have you found, or should I say this, have you found on your journey that other gifts that you might not get to share as much on your channel? Secret, come back. Oopsies, hold on, people. We'll make sure she comes back. I'm not sure what happened. She's ready to get off then when I started to ask her about her other gifts, wasn't she? She's ready to get out of here. You guys, thank you so much for being here. This has been just fabulous. We're gonna wait to see if she's gonna be able to get back into the chat, or if she we're not sure. We're just gonna do a couple of things. Wanting to just touch base on a couple of things while we're waiting for her to see if she can re-enter. I want to here we go. She's back. Okay, good.
It all just shut down on me. I don't know why.
Oh my gosh, I don't either, but I'm going to move my mouse so I'm sure I don't hit you. Okay, so a couple of questions. One, additional, like, because you're very intuitive, right? And you studied the tarot, so you're a student of the tarot. Yeah. Other gifts, have you noticed on your journey that you've seen other gifts, and do you want to share a little bit of, like, what else seems to be added to your toolbox?
It's
and things of that nature as well on the podcast. So there's going to be a lot of variety here coming. So we'll see if Secret can get back in. And there'll be one. So next week, before she comes back, next week, episode 2, we are going to have special guest Minnow Pond. Chris will be joining us next week. Minnow Pond will be on the Sunday Soul podcast, just confirmed. Next week, Sunday, same bat time, same bat channel. Those of you that are a little in my age range will know that. Let me just make sure, see if she's going to swing back. If not, we're going to... Hang on, guys. Hold on. Okay, so we're still on live. Do you want to
I don't know. The app just kept shutting down on me.
Okay, well, she's on live, guys, on the phone. I'm going to put her up to the microphone. I guess that's our signal to get on out of here. Is there anything...
I think it's our signal.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to share with the collective before we sign off for the evening?
I think they're saying your
That my audio isn't working? That's impossible.
Your audio's kind of messed up. Oh, now it's saying it's okay.
Okay, here we go.
All right.
Go ahead.
Okay, cool.
What would you like to say to the collective, Secret?
Well, I don't know. I suppose, like with everything going on in the world, I just want to tell you guys to hold on. I feel like this is really about our ascension. This is about us kind of waking up and realizing a lot of things. I mean, you got to ask yourself, did you really think about a lot of the things you were thinking about back in 2019? Or are your eyes opening, right? Are you realizing a lot of things? Are you questioning a lot of things? Are you seeing things in a different way? Are you waking up to things that you were blind to just last year, just a few months ago? So it's all about, as difficult as this year has been, and next year will probably be another transitioning year, I feel, but more of a rebuilding year. I just feel like, we gotta stay strong together. We can't let all that dark energy bring us down. We have to stay positive. We have to stay focused, and we have to keep, going towards the light and doing what we know in our soul is the right thing to do.
Definitely. That is absolutely beautiful. Well, my friend, thank you so much. We're gonna hang this up here and we're gonna close everything out here. Thank you so much for being on the show. Oh my gosh. Awesome. Okay, I'll call you in a few minutes, love. Okay.
All right, bye.
All right, guys. Thank you again so much for being here and enduring even the minor technical difficulties we had. I'm really looking forward to this. If there are folks that you would like for me to consider interviewing, you can email me at admin@heartofinspiration.net. And share that with me. If it is yourself, if you yourself have, you're a light worker and you want to share your story, email me at admin@heartofinspiration.net. We're going to be adding more people to this, and this is going to be a fantastic series. Thank you so much, Consciousness. Thank you, Dee. I appreciate it. So, guys, we're going to let this go. I know it's a Sunday night, and I'm thrilled that you guys spent your evening with me. And we will see you very soon. And don't forget, next week, Minnow Pond will be with us for episode 2. Peace, love, blessings, and joy be unto you today, tomorrow, and for all eternity. Thank you so much. Namaste. Bye-bye, guys.
Where did he go?